Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo and it's great to be on the show again this week. NLNG Prize for Literature is the biggest literary prize in Africa and it's out again this year. Writers are expecting this prize and they are looking forward to taking part this year. Why? Because the winner takes home $100,000. Now, if you calculate that and convert it to Naira, you get an idea of what we're talking about. Now, there's a new chairperson of the advisory board of the Nigeria Prize for Literature. We met with her recently to share with us the expectations for the year. Enjoy this.
Since 2004, the Nigeria Liquefied and Natural Gas Company NLNG has sponsored the Nigeria Prize for Science, the Nigeria Prize for Literature, and the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism. These prizes have significantly contributed to the discovery and celebration of remarkable talents in science and literature. Talents such as Jude Idada, Soji Cole, Ike Ogwoke, Abubakar Adam Ibrahim, Sam Okala, amongst others.
The winner of the 2021 Prize for Literature, Cheluchi Onyemelukwe Onwobia.
In 2021, Cheluchi Onyemelukwe Onwobia's novel, The Son of the House, was announced as the winner of the Nigeria Prize for Literature, earning the author the sum of $100,000. It's 2022 now, and the NLNG is once again calling for the submission of entries for the Nigeria Prize for Literature. Professor Akachi Ezigbo, a distinguished academic, educator, and author of several works including novels, poetry, short stories, books for children, essays, and journalism, is the new chairperson of the advisory board of the Nigeria Prize for Literature. Professor Ezigbo is herself a beneficiary of the prize.
I was a winner of the prize and also a judge, so I've had what you may describe as a wide experience with this prize and with NLNG. So I think the prize, which started in 2004, awarded first time in 2005, has had a lot of impact, not only on writers, but on Nigerian literature and culture.
Surgical, ladies and gentlemen.
This NLNG Prize has done is to kind of improve the book chain and interest in literature. Book chain, I mean, is starting from writing to editing to publishing. All this has been improved by this prize because a lot more people are writing and they are conscious of writing well, and publishers are also eager to publish good works, and many publishers will want to submit works they have published to this prize each year. So it's made a huge impact on literature in Nigeria and on writers. But so far, many writers have won this prize because it's awarded every year to different genres. And these writers, many of them have made good use of the money they won.
Professor Ezigbo provides details on this year's literature contests.
This year is going to be poetry, and the publicity has gone out. Entries are expected to close by April 8th. So anyone who wants to who has a collection of poetry, a book of poems, can submit now between now and April 8th. And one is expected to submit both physical books, that is 12 copies of your book, as well as galley proof, which you upload on the email NLNG has provided on the advert list, yes. So people are free to submit their books now. It's going to be poetry this year. Well, it's a very rigorous process, and it starts by submission. When books are submitted, the panel of judges, they are usually 3 now. And when I was chair of the judging panel, we were 5, but now NLNG has reduced it to 3, but there's an international consultant or judge which wasn't the case before. They've introduced it to still maintain and control standard, and which I think is beautiful. So there's a panel of 3 judges, and after the entry closes, books are distributed among the judges, and then the process begins. And the judges, they work independently, and they have stages. First, a short list, a list of 50, 25, 11, 3, and so on and so forth, until the best person or the best book emerges as winner. It's a very rigorous process. And then the international judge also has to do some bits of work by also giving their own opinion regarding the books. So it's the whole idea is to maintain standard, and the standard is excellence. That is the word, excellence. And the main criterion is excellence. The book has to be good and are judged as good to be able to win the prize. If COVID-19 did not affect last year, it was 2020 years, there wasn't, the prize was not processed because of all the lockdown and everything. Then the books were shifted to 2021, and then we were able to have the good process through which emerged a winner, Cheluchi Onyemelukwe Onwuobia, who won the prose the prize last year. But this year, I think that the effect of COVID pandemic has lessened somewhat, and we are anticipating that we're going to receive a lot of entries, and there are signs already that many people will submit their works, and we're looking forward to a very vibrant process this year.
A lot is discussed about the reading culture of Nigerians and African literature. Professor Ezigbo shares her thoughts.
Many Nigerians don't read, but the happy thing is that many young people, especially in primary and secondary school, are reading. They are aware of the importance of reading in the lives of their children. It's a good foundation. A child who reads, starts reading early will do well in most subjects. And also, NLNG has this habit of promoting reading among children by sometimes sharing books. For instance, I remember when my book won the prize, it was a book for children, my cousin Sammy. NLNG made copies and distributed to schools around. So I think a lot of people believe that many Nigerians don't read. But those who want to read, read. And you agree with me now that there are many ways you can read. You can read e-books, you can read online, on the internet, you can read physical books. So a lot more reading is being done today than before. More people are reading, but it depends on what they are reading. African literature is doing very well, but I remember I read something, the assessment people are making of literature. They see African literature as the literature of the future. Yeah, because many good writers are emerging from Africa, even from Nigeria. I'm not thinking of only Nigerians in Nigeria. We are talking of also Nigerians in the diaspora, Africans in the diaspora. If you look at the body of writers who have done well, who are being talked about today in the world, quite a number of them are Africans. I can mention some of them. There's Chimamanda Adichie from Nigeria, there's Chika Onigwe, there's Mbolo from Cameroon, there is Gyasi from Ghana. These are ones, there's Bulawayo from Zimbabwe. These are ones from in the diaspora. In Nigeria, in Africa too, there are quite a number of writers who are doing quite well. And I think that is why they say that African literature is the literature of the future.
Cora, Committee of Relevant Arts and Roving Heights combined together to host one of Africa's most brilliant poets, dramatist, and literary critic, Professor Niyi Osundare. He has a new book out. He did a book signing and a reading, and we were there. Enjoy this.
In its quest to promote arts and culture in Nigeria, the Committee for Relevant Arts, KORA, has held its first book reading session in 2022. KORA, in collaboration with Roving Heights, holds reading sessions every month as an avenue for authors and members of the public to engage.
Author of over 18 collections of poetry and books of essay.
In this session, celebrated Nigerian poet, dramatist, literary critic, essayist, and columnist Professor Niyi Osundare reads from two of his books, which are collections of poems.
KORA has made sure that
Professor Osundare, a Nomo Award winner, has authored 18 books of poetry, 2 books of selected poems with individual poems in over 70 journals and magazines across the world. The Prof started his reading session from his book, Snap Songs, Homegrowns and Foreign Flares.
Wonderland, 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 Akim Akewi, are you listening? 100 million naira vanished from the government coffers. They say a snake swallowed it with its evening meal. Aramunda. Oh, really? The governor wailed, his hands in the air. Oh, my security vote was stolen by bandits of unknown origin. The senator, eminently distinguished and right honorable, lost his constituency allowance between Abuja and his penury ravished constituency. The Senate King, his crown askew, sent the hallowed house on compulsory holiday. He locked up the country's red chamber and threw the key into his ocean of infamy. In this land of miracles, or as we say, miracles, our cars are fueled by gallons of prayers. Our pastor's car once drove 100 miles on an empty but faithful tank. Aramunda. The moon dropped from the sky, sauntered silently through the broken stairs of the stars, while the sky moaned like a stricken bull.
Snap Songs addresses the usual problems of the place where Professor Osundare regarded as his much beloved but groaning homeland. He turns his attention to his most recent poetry collection, Green.
We bleed one cut, all the trees. We are the trees of the world. We are the trees of life. We laugh, we cry, we whisper, we shout. We breathe, we brood, we breathe. We carry the planet in our careful hands, a tender burden, a historic task. The loom and latch of a naked world. We robe the earth in our green embrace. Hour by hour, we lose our kin to waste, to war, and the senseless blaze. A careless axe, a haughty chainsaw, and the cannibal greed of the rich and strong. Behold the spider monkey, the spectacled bear, butterflies of the forest crabs, the eloquent parrot, sagacious owl, the cool canopy, and the traveling roots. A tree never falls alone in the forest. It takes our future with its crashing leaves. The blind gold digger, the reckless farmer. Subject your greed to the need of all. We are the trees of the world. We are the trees of life. Pears from the past, flowers of the future. We burn when ignited, we bleed when cut. We are the vital lobe of the lungs of the planet.
One of the organizers explains why Professor Osundare was chosen for the first session of the year.
He's a very, very talented, very simple, elegant poet. You know, he's essentially the creator of what you call the songs of the marketplace. Those kind of poems that, you know, are lyrical, are at the same time very simple. Those poems that you read in school that are so, you know, so convoluted, they are not, I mean, you know, it's when people like Osundare started to write that you found that, oh, so poetry can actually speak in this way. It doesn't have to be some mangled thing that you then begin to say, what has he said, you know. Cora has been a follower of Osundare.
The guests present also voiced their thoughts on the author and the books he read from.
The book covers quite a wide range of subjects, from environmentalism to the issue of poor governance, alienation, dislocation. It's quite a potpourri, but you know, he writes with a sense of community and with sense of the earth, and which means that he's a connected poet. So that is what you see with him. Some people call him the poet of the people. I don't always think so, because sometimes it can be also difficult to understand. It can be a little elliptical in certain areas, but generally he's a poet of conscience. He's a poet of community who tries to understand the dynamics, and sometimes his poetry verges into journalism, which is also refreshing. Sometimes it dilutes it a bit, but sometimes it's actually refreshing when you read it for the moment.
The fact that he's a poet and he's very anti-government, that was very interesting to me. He's a professor, he's a poet, and he's anti-government. I always thought that the people that are anti-government are always the musicians or the writers. But the fact that he's a poet, and the fact that he kind of explained himself, and he explained what the problem that we're facing in the country is, that was just amazing.
While listening, I actually was overwhelmed with a lot of inspirations. It's good to know that Professor Niyi Osundare is a poet that pays rapt attention to the environment, and is an environmentalist actually, and has been a lot of inspiration to me personally.
The event ends with a book signing by the guest author.
In the late 90s, Stella Osammor wrote a book that was hugely successful. It's still a very successful novel till date. But that novel was selected as a must-read novel for JAMB and other important examinations in Nigeria. She joined us to read from her book. More importantly, she joined us to have a conversation about her life, her writing, and her novel, The Triumph of the Water Lily. But today, enjoy the reading and look out for the interview next week.
My name is Stella Osammor, and I am the author of the book, The Triumph of the Water Lily. This book was written 30 years ago, and it was used by Nigeria's Joint Admission Matriculation Board as an examination text into various Nigerian universities. The Triumph of the Water Lily has been dubbed a a pathfinder guide for people who want to survive and emerge triumphant in the face of the threat of annihilation and the great odds and difficulties that come to each and every one of us sometime in our life. And the education authorities, even in Britain, had Triumph of the Water Lily in their libraries, and they stocked it in categories of books that could not be renewed because there was a great demand for the text. The bit I am about to read from the text talks about the strategy the protagonist Nkem evolved to protect the symbiotic relationship she had with Odili, her husband. The marriage and the relationship was characterized by a beautiful symbiosis that made the two of them extremely happy, in spite of the fact that Nkem was barren and they were struggling and desperate to have children bless their wedlock. And so she's explaining to Efua how she had to move away from their matrimonial home so as to avoid the poison and the animosity she was experiencing from her husband's family as a consequence of not being able to give him an offspring. If I had to move out of Odili's home so as to preserve and keep as strong as I could the love that I share with my husband. I know it sounds paradoxical or ironic that one has to keep away from one's beloved so as to be able to continue loving him the way I do love Odili. But you see, the circumstances we found ourselves are unusual, Efua, and so we've had to devise ingenious steps to remedy the situation. Now, I have created a vacancy in Odili's home by moving out. His family, especially his stepmother, will now leave us in peace. Odili and I can now go ahead with the task of fulfilling each other's emotional needs. I sincerely love my husband, Efua. Nkem continued to say to me in a quiet and pensive voice. Odili means so much to me. I've never felt this way about another human being. Nonetheless, I don't mind sharing him with another woman if it is for the purpose of satisfying an important need such as childbearing, a need which society deems as fundamental, quote and unquote, and one which must be satisfied if they are to regard Odili as successful. Up to date, I haven't been able to fulfill this need, Nkem said with a sigh, and it remains to be seen if I'll be able to in the future. I have come to terms with this limitation, and I do thank God for that. I have also decided to embrace the idea of becoming Odili's mistress, and believe me, I'm beginning to enjoy it. What with the independence and peace of mind that goes with it? How did his family actually react to all this I asked? Odili's family were stunned, his stepmother in particular. She had on one occasion hinted to me that the family would want Odili to take a second wife, and they wanted my cooperation. The stepmother assured me that they would in turn ensure that I remain the highly respected Mem Shahib Shikems I am at the moment. But I didn't tell Odili anything about this conversation I had with his stepmother. I knew he would react with outrage, as he always did. Whenever they broached the subject of his taking a second wife, he was always irate. However, that discussion was what set me thinking.
And this is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be very delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Send us your questions, your criticisms, we'll be happy to respond to whatever it is you want us to respond to. It's always exciting for us to read everything that you send to us every week. This is where we draw curtains on this episode. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.